The Reno series of phones from OPPO have always brought forth some kind of new innovation in the mobile camera space. And this year, with the Reno 3 Pro, the Pro seems to stand for Pro Selfies, as OPPO is debuting the first ever 44 megapixel selfie camera. Hey guys, Ash here from C4 Tech, and welcome to my unboxing and first hands-on with this OPPO Reno 3 Pro. If you do end up liking what you see here, please subscribe and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get this video started. OPPO have sent us this giant box. So let's go ahead, open it up and see what's on the inside. Here we have a couple of props, a cool little car, and the other one looks like a mini Taj Mahal. Okay, we'll get to shoot these later. For now, let's take the Reno 3 Pro's box out. That's a pretty cool looking box. It's almost like OPPO have put a gradient finish on the box itself. Of course, it's covered with the usual branding stuff, OPPO, Reno, and heck, even ICC this time around. This is the Auroral Blue variant with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. We have a couple of other stickers around the box, nothing we've not seen in the past. So now, time to cut through that plastic and the seal. OPPO's gone with a sliding cover here. Removing that lid, inside there's another white cardboard box. This one has the SIM ejector pin, some of the regular documentation, your quick start guide, safety information booklet, and so on. And then there's a soft case. And now, guys, this is the Reno 3 Pro. Before we take a closer look, let's peel off the plastic wrap. And then the sticker too. Okay, this is a proper gradient back. And the gradient runs all the way from dark purple blue to a foamy white. Seems like someone made it on Photoshop and printed it straight to the back of the Reno 3 Pro. And I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing. It's super reflective too. Moving on, next we have this 30 watt VOOC 4.0 charger, and that's followed by this Type A to USB Type-C cable. And the final thing in the box is a pair of EarPods-esque earphones. And well, that about concludes it for the unboxing part of this video. And I'm sure many of you would have noticed this second box, and that's the OPPO Enco Free Truly Wireless headset. And I have a dedicated video on it coming up later. Stay tuned for that. By the way, though OPPO are selling a pair of truly wireless earphones, if you notice the earphones included in the box, they came with the regular 3.5mm connector. So yes, the headphone jack, it's still retained. And they can be found alongside the primary microphone, speaker, and the USB Type-C port at the bottom. I'm also happy that OPPO's retained support for microSD. It goes in along with the 2 nano SIM cards on the tray to the left of the Reno 3 Pro. Just below that, we have the volume up and down keys, and on the other side is the power key, and finally, up top, we have the secondary noise cancelling microphone. Okay, enough with the placements. The Reno 3 Pro, it's got a gorgeous blue back, a very slim profile, just a shade over 8mm, and it's surprisingly light, just 175 grams. That's despite having a 4000 plus mAh battery. OPPO have even managed to cram a 6.4-inch Full HD Plus Super AMOLED panel in here. Now, the Reno series has always had cutting-edge selfie cameras. The OG Reno had a sharpened selfie camera, the second gen came with a more traditional pop-up mechanism, and finally, here for the third generation, we have punch holes. Now, while the design might not be quite as radical, after all, we've been seeing quite a few devices in 2020 follow this trend, what caught my attention here was the optics itself. I had never heard of a 44 megapixel selfie camera before, and that had me intrigued. As expected, the selfies did turn out great, loads of details on the subject's face, skin tones and colors looked natural, even the background looked superb. Now, we did a little research of our own, and turns out this might very well be Samsung's Slim GH1 sensor. It's a 43.7 megapixel sensor that debuted last year. Now, one interesting thing here is the night mode for selfies. Here are some more sample images. OPPO says it's using AI-based computational photography, combining multiple frames to get the final image. Basically, just what night mode does in general, but this time around, it's doing it for the selfie camera instead of the rear camera. And it seems to work fine for the most part. Initial impressions at least, I am kinda impressed with this. Now, there are 2 cameras to the front, right? So what does the second one do? Well, it's a 2 megapixel depth sensor, so we do get the usual selfie portraits, and we also have support for portrait video. Now, coming back to the display, it's big, it's gorgeous, and what's more, the bezels surrounding it are really thin. So that means a screen to body ratio of over 90%. Now, one interesting thing about this display, or rather about what's above this display, that earpiece, is that it pulls double duty as a speaker. This combination can get really loud, so the Reno 3 Pro is great for media consumption. Now, since this display is AMOLED, the fingerprint scanner is tucked underneath it. This happens to be one of the fastest scanners that we've come across so far. Now, the selfie cameras aren't the only new things on board the Reno 3 Pro. We also have a new chip under the hood. This is Mediatek's Helio P95. It's basically the P90 but with better AI performance. Now, last year's Reno 2Z came with the same Helio P90 chipset, and OPPO haven't offered a substantial upgrade here, so that's a bit of a bummer. That said, the P95 does do enough to keep the Reno 3 Pro chugging along nicely. The GPU here, the PowerVR GM9446, it seems to be able to run games well. The demanding titles we tried, they ran without any issues, but again, these are only initial impressions. For more detailed stuff, I'm gonna have to spend more time with the phone. By the way, the performance here, it's also complemented by OPPO's custom HyperBoost technology that lets us get the most out of whatever hardware is at hand. This is ColorOS 7 here, based on Android 10, and it comes with a new look and smooth animations that keeps everything from feeling stale. On the memory side of things, we have 8 gigs of RAM, more than enough to tackle any multitasking needs. And as for internal storage, we get a 128 as well as 256 GB variant. OPPO have included a 40-25 mAh battery here, and as far as charging goes, 30 watt VOOC flash charge 4.0 support that's in the box, and it should be able to take this phone from 0 to 50 in just 20 minutes, or so OPPO claims. Now, the cameras have always been a highlight of the Reno series, so let's quickly take a look at what this quad camera setup has in store for us. The primary here is a 64 megapixel sensor paired with an f1.8 lens. As expected, under daylight conditions, it performs really well. Colors, details, dynamic range, nothing to complain about. One interesting thing to note here is that under the manual mode, if we toggle this extra HD option, the Reno 3 Pro resorts to sub-pixel interpolation and comes up with 108 megapixel resolution images. Let's take a look at this and more camera functions in a dedicated video, but for now, the camera performance, it seems quite good. We get a 13 megapixel telephoto, that's a secondary. This gives us 2x optical, 5x hybrid, and even 20x digital zoom. Third is an 8 megapixel camera kitted out with a 120-degree ultra-wide angle lens. What's interesting here is that OPPO are providing an Ultra Steady Video Pro option with this, basically heavy electronic stabilization via the wide-angle camera. And the results, they're pretty stable. The last camera is a regular run-of-the-mill 2 megapixel monochrome sensor for depth detection. And now, if this setup sounds familiar, that's because it is. This is something we just saw with the Realme X50 Pro 5G. So maybe you'd like to see a camera comparison between these two? If you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to get that done. So finally, let's talk pricing. And as always, I am shooting this video before the official price announcement, so I don't know how much this one's gonna cost. But based on the Reno series track record, I expect it to be priced around the 30,000 rupee mark. Now, yes, it's true that the Reno 3 Pro sells for 39.99 yuan in China, and that means it should convert to 40,000 rupees in India at least. But the Reno 3 Pro that sells in China is almost entirely a different phone. That comes with a Snapdragon 765G SoC, a 90Hz display, OIS on the main sensor, and even 5G support. So maybe OPPO will launch it in India as the Reno 3 Pro Pro, Reno 3 Pro Squad, Reno 3 Pro Ultra, I don't know. Maybe they'll launch it as something else later, but that is not this Reno 3 Pro. So anyway, by the time this video goes live, you guys will know what the price of this Indian Reno 3 Pro is. So considering that, what do you guys think? Does the Reno 3 Pro live up to that price tag, or did you expect better? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, we get to the end of this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. What do you feel about this new setup? I've been trying a few new things, new mic, new camera, new setup. So let me know. Your feedback is very important. And I guess that's it. If you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. If you've already subscribed, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Thumbs up, thumbs down, all that stuff. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.